All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the fundamental principles of physical training. You can think of this as the owner's manual for your body, the actual blueprint that explains how we get stronger, faster, and fitter. Okay, let's do this. You ever ask yourself this? You see someone just crushing their goals while you're following a plan, you're putting in the work, but the results just aren't there. It is so frustrating. But what if I told you the difference isn't about luck or some secret supplement or even crazy genetics? It's all about understanding the rules of the game. See, the human body is this amazing adaptation machine, but it follows a pretty predictable set of laws. Once you get this blueprint, you can build pretty much any fitness goal you want because you're finally working with your body's natural systems instead of fighting against them. That's really what these principles are. They're not just suggestions, they're like the laws of physics for fitness. They dictate how your body responds to stress and how it improves over time. If you ignore them, you're basically just guessing. But if you follow them, your progress becomes systematic. It becomes predictable. And to make this super easy to remember, we've got a simple little acronym for you. SOPRT. That's specificity, overload, progression, reversibility, and tedium. So let's break down exactly what each of those means. First on the list is specificity. And honestly, this is a huge one. It just means that your body gets really, really good at the specific thing you ask it to do. You want to run a fast 10K? Well, spending all your time on a bike will only get you so far. You've got to train the specific movements, the specific energy systems, and the specific muscles you want to improve. So, picture a tennis player who wants a faster serve. That's an explosive rotational movement, right? A general bench press isn't all that specific, but throwing a heavy medicine ball against a wall, now we're talking. That directly mimics the power transfer you need from the ground through your core and into the racket. That is specificity in action. Next up, we've got overload. Your body is incredibly efficient. Some might even say a little lazy. Once it gets used to a certain amount of stress, it's like, okay, cool, I've got this, and it stops changing. So to keep improving, you have to continually challenge it. You have to increase the demand. That could be more weight, more speed, whatever. Without overload, you're just stuck on a plateau. For example, a powerlifter isn't going to get stronger by deadlifting 300 pounds forever. The second they can lift that weight for their target number of reps, they add a little bit more. Maybe just 5 pounds, but that tiny increase is the overload. It's the signal that tells the body, hey, we need to get stronger to handle this new challenge. And this idea of overload leads us perfectly into progression. Progression is really just the smart, patient, long-term way to apply overload. It's not about trying to add 50 pounds to your deadlift in 1 week. It's about having a plan to add a little bit week after week, month after month. So why does it have to be so gradual? Why not just go all out all the time? Well, the answer is pretty simple. Going too hard, too fast is the quickest ticket to getting injured or completely burning out. Your muscles, your tendons, your whole body needs time to adapt to new stress. Progression respects that timeline. Think about a beginner who wants to run a 5K. They don't just go out and try to run 3 miles on day 1, right? Of course not. They start small. By adding just a little bit of distance each week, they let their cardiovascular system and their joints adapt safely. The slow and steady increase is what keeps you healthy and consistent, and that's what gets you to the finish line. Okay, now for a quick dose of reality. Reversibility. The hard truth is that the benefits of training aren't permanent. If you stop training, your body, in its quest for efficiency, is going to start getting rid of the adaptations it doesn't think it needs anymore. You've all heard this phrase, and it is 100% true. The gains you work so hard for require consistency to maintain. Now, the speed you lose them varies. Cardio fitness tends to drop off faster than pure strength, but the principle holds for everything. Consistency really is king. And finally, we have tedium. A more positive way to think about it, though, is variation. Let's be honest, doing the exact same workout every single day is not just boring, it can also lead to overuse injuries and stubborn plateaus. Bringing in some variety, changing up exercises, maybe your location or the intensity, is what keeps your body guessing and your mind in the game. So, now we've got our 5 laws, SOPRT, but how do you actually organize them over an entire season or a full year? Well, that's where planning, or what coaches call periodization, comes in. This is the master plan that makes sure you're at your absolute best when it counts. The best way to get your head around periodization is to think about a band preparing for a massive concert. They don't just rehearse the final show at full blast for a year straight. No way. They build up, they work on different parts, they increase the intensity as the show gets closer, they peak for that one performance, and then they take a break. Your training should work exactly the same way. So this planning usually gets broken down into 3 levels. First, you have the macro cycle. That's the big picture, the entire year, the whole season, with one major goal in mind. Then you break that down into mesocycles. These are smaller training blocks, maybe 4 to 6 weeks long, each with a specific focus, like building endurance or raw strength. And each mesocycle is made up of microcycles, which is just your detailed plan for a single week. Okay, this next part is so important. Applying overload and progression is key, but there is a very fine line between optimal training and overtraining. Pushing way too hard without enough rest can actually make you weaker and lead to total burnout. Listening to your body isn't optional. It's a critical part of the blueprint. So how do you know if you're crossing that line? As you get closer to a big race or a competition, what are the red flags, the warning signs that you might be doing too much, too soon? You know, the difference is like night and day. Progress feels good. You're excited to train, you feel strong, your performance is getting better, but overtraining feels awful. You're sore all the time, you're cranky, maybe you're catching every cold that goes around. And, this is the big one, your performance actually starts to get worse even though you're training harder. Remember, more isn't always better. Smarter is better. Okay, let's bring it all home. We've talked about the fundamental laws of training, how to structure them over time, and also what to watch out for. This is it. This is your complete blueprint for making real, sustainable physical improvement. So here's the whole thing in a nutshell. You need the 5 laws, SOPRT, to guide what you do every day. You need the 3-level master plan, M3, to structure your training for the long haul. And you absolutely have to listen to that #1 warning. Let your body recover so it can keep up with all your hard work. Look, these principles aren't just theory. They are the practical, proven tools that everyone from physical therapists to the world's best coaches use every single day. They work for any goal. So the only question left is, now that you have the blueprint, what are you going to build?